Welcome back to Fox Weather. Hurricane Erin, still a Category 5, looking picture perfect in many locations. This is north of the islands. It exploded and jumped way up, what we call rapid intensification, going up about 90 miles per hour within 24 hours. Very close to those islands. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Craig Herrera.
And I'm Marissa Torres. Yeah, watching Hurricane Erin do something quite incredible.
Yeah.
Super rapid intensification. I would say
True.
rapid intensification on steroids. I mean, to be able to drop in pressure that quickly and to see it tighten up so much. You know, here's the thing, though. We can admire Mother Nature in the sense that we have no direct landfall. We have no landfall forecasted for anybody.
Yeah,
of course. Indirect impacts.
It's true when you talk about the rain and the wind. And just for perspective, if you're unfamiliar with it, we've covered it here at Fox Weather. It's rapid intensification is at least 35 mile per hour jump within 24 hours. That was almost triple, Marissa, 90 miles per hour with that massive storm. And when you look at this, you can really see the eye, those bands, really intense winds. But notice those last couple of loops. It's almost like it's getting a little bit smaller, like the clouds are starting to fill in. And perhaps there is talk in the National Hurricane Center's discussion that perhaps that's filling in and perhaps it's going through an eye wall replacement. And when it does that, the intensity tends to fluctuate, which we could expect for the next 24 hours, but likely to remain a major hurricane. Well, it will, in fact.
120 hours out, it's expected to stay major status. Infrared is always really captivating because the colder the cloud tops, the higher they are, and that's what's indicated by the purple and the black there. So we're going to continue to analyze Erin. Meanwhile, we are watching the Caribbean, some of the islands that have been feeling those indirect impacts from Hurricane Erin. St. John in the Virgin Islands with now, by the way, a flash flood warning. But we've been watching the evolution, right? The clouds that have been moving overhead throughout the day as Erin turns dangerously close. At last measure from the National Hurricane Center, that 5 p.m. advisory, that 5 p.m. Eastern advisory, Craig, about 175 miles to the northeast of Puerto Rico with the center.
Yeah, and Puerto Rico bracing for some of the rain. We are able to see with the radar from Puerto Rico a lot of the rain that's going on through. This is an interesting perspective, rather. There's the radar you can see as well. So now you can see those outer rain bands, a better example of what's coming through here. And of course, the hurricane hunters go in there and they give us a better idea of what's happening with the structure itself. Now, notice St. Thomas, St. Croix, a lot of these areas have been dealing with the heavy rain. Many of the U.S. Virgin Islands and British Virgin Islands have been lacking in rainfall, so this is a lot. It will really wipe out any type of deficit they've been dealing with as far as rainfall. But I'll tell you what, when you look at this and it starts to lift up to the north and northwest, that's really going to still have an impact. The stronger winds, of course, closer to the center of it. And it's always interesting, Marissa, when you look how widespread this is, and you're thinking, well, we still have some pretty strong gusts, but where you have the strongest winds are going to be right closer to the center, of course.
Yeah, hurricane force winds extend 30 miles out from the center of Erin. Those tropical storm force winds well over 100. This is the updated cone, Stephen.
Excellent.
Okay, there's been some technical communication between the National Hurricane Center and then getting it to our products. But regardless, this is the updated cone from 5 p.m. Eastern, noting the intensity stays intense. Could very likely still be a Cat 5 hurricane tomorrow north of the islands, watching it gradually weaken, but off the coast of the Carolinas, we could still be looking at a Cat 3 hurricane, a Category 3 hurricane, and then getting close to Bermuda. Oh, look at that. Bermuda has been taken out of the forecast cone. Yeah. That may change.
It's true. Yeah, we were, Brian Norcross was with us just a moment ago, and he was talking about this, right, how it's kind of moving a little farther west. But when you think about the cone, right, it's where maybe the center could go of the storm, but it could go anywhere within that. We've got a margin of error, of course, which we talk about this. But when you think about this, Marissa, you think about if it starts to expand and gets bigger, which we expect it to do, yeah, you're going to feel perhaps maybe some rain or some wind closer to the Carolina coast, especially still at the 125 mile per hour winds there.
Yeah, that's what we were talking to Hurricane Specialist Brian Norcross at the top of the hour, because Erin, it is a very tightly packed hurricane. It's expected to grow in size as it weakens to the north, and Brian's saying could quadruple in size, right? But even then, it would still be far enough offshore and so lopsided and messier that really it's just about the waves and the rip current risk and the swells that we'll be watching. All right, so that's the latest forecast cone. Let's go ahead and take it to the ground. We have Fox Weather correspondent Robert Ray joining us. Where it's St. Thomas, we mentioned, Craig, we do have a flash flood warning.
No kidding. Also, he's been dealing with some intense rain bands that have been moving through St. Thomas, rather. Let's get right to Robert. Robert, how you doing out there?
Yeah, we're doing good, guys. We are just continuing to experience these outer bands that continue to roll those wind gusts in with the spitting rain. And like I said to you about 25 minutes ago, I wanted to show you the heaviest conditions that we've experienced. So take a look at this video while we also endure some of these wind bands coming in. But yeah, you'll see almost whiteout conditions here on the islands. You can barely see in the distance some of the mountainous terrain here on St. Thomas and St. John, just right across this bay here. We're on the northeast quadrant of St. Thomas, and that's what we were expecting all day long. You know, overnight we had some rain and then woke up to some rain and some gusty winds, but really child's play compared to what has happened in the last hour as Hurricane Erin, Category 5, that just a day ago was a tropical storm and has organized itself to basically 160, 165 mile an hour winds. It's, you know, what, about probably 115 miles to the northeast of us right now, and it just shows you, you know, how expansive these wind gusts can be. And at this point, I think we've monitored about a 40 plus mile an hour wind gusts here on the island, and that will likely go on the uptick as it continues its westward push overnight. Sun goes down in an hour. And I gotta say, people should not be on these roads. These roads are somewhat dangerous already. 2 lanes up and down through the mountainous terrain. You can't see what's going on as you make a bend, and mudslides and rock slides are in play as this rain is going to come down in earnest, and the wind, it's going to be dangerous. You could be in a life and death situation if you go out, and that includes Puerto Rico as well, with the swells 6 to 9 feet out there, and this is just going to be a rocky night. The wind's kicking up again, and some of these rains out here. I'm going to walk off the camera because I want to have Jason Jones, photographer, kind of zoom in and see what he can capture there in the distance. You'll see the blowing rain to counter twist. Okay, it makes sense if you know where we're at, the northeast quadrant of St. Thomas, and so you know those winds have been whipping around and they are loaded with thunderstorms and lightning, and that's what we see. It's every few minutes it kicks up, it gets very strong. And by the way, guys, tourists having a tough time getting in and out of the Virgin Islands today, and likely will be challenging tomorrow. We spoke to one woman earlier. Let's just listen real quickly to her. And by the way, notice how calm it was when we talked to her about 4 hours ago. Listen.
Today, Saturday, it's a little gloomy, a little rainy, but we're most worried about our flight, which we switched from Sunday to Saturday. We're hoping to get out of St. Thomas into Dulles, but time will tell, or weather will tell, right?
Oh, how the hours have changed the atmosphere, certainly, and that is always the condition when it comes to hurricanes. But when you have an explosive monster, Cat 5, this is even more intense than average. I guess if there's any silver lining here in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, it's that there's no direct hit. Having said that, we can expect to lose power in many areas tonight, depending on where those winds kick in. And yeah, this is a good blow right now, a good wind gust coming in, and pretty amazing. I'll step back out so you guys can look at the fury. Jason on the controls of the camera and just kind of looking at that. And next hour we're going to change our shot and give you a different view. And actually, you know, I don't know, Jason, I'm going to ask you to do a lot. Can you turn and kind of show them what's right next to us? Hang on, guys. Stand by. He's going to do his best to move this, and you'll see how some of the winds whip through these buildings and also the canyons at times and move all that vegetation like crazy, and the rain getting pushed around. You got to be careful tonight. You know, I got to say, guys, my biggest concern beyond getting through what we're going to experience here tonight and even tomorrow morning is the fact that, you know, I cannot wait to see what's going to happen when this storm begins its turn to the north and how west it's actually going to be and how close it's going to come to mainland U.S. People need to really take it very seriously, whether or not you're in the northern end of Florida or even the Bahamas and coastal Georgia, Carolinas, and Virginia. You have to watch this like a hawk. It's going to be potentially very, very dangerous. Back to you guys.